You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life Advice is lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. Our guy checking in. Love the show. 31 years old. 6 foot even. 190 pounds. Can do 40 straight solid non-CrossFit push-ups. And run a mile and a half in 10 minutes.
What's a CrossFit push-up? Like a fake one?
No, those are CrossFit pull-ups are fake ones. How those ever developed? Yeah, how that was ever developed into a thing that counted for anything. I don't get, people really are like, man, did you see that guy? He did 100 pull-ups in a row. I'm like, which kind? Because there's a big difference. Or when people look at box jumps and then they're like, dude, that guy has a 70-inch vert. You're like, nah, he doesn't. It's different. So
wait, what's a CrossFit pull-up or push-up then? I don't get it.
I don't even know. I've never even heard of it. I'm not knocking CrossFit. Good for everybody that's in there. I think your pull-ups are fucking lame. Have been from the get-go. I got to tell you, a mile and a half in 10 minutes. All right. I don't think that's... But you know what I like about this guy is that he said mile and a half in 10 minutes. I don't think he was doing it to brag. I think he was just doing a baseline. So let's not be critical. He's just sharing it with us. Hey, what's up? 40 push-ups sounds pretty good. All right, let's get to the fucking email. Sorry. This email is about my longtime buddy, met him in high school, who had Orlando Magic season tickets. Hey, Cerruti, that's your squad.
Nice.
He's got himself in a bit of a situation. My buddy, let's call him George, not his real name. Thank you, emailer. Split season tickets with a coworker the past 3 years. Each year, he would just Venmo the guy for his share of the tickets. So the other guy had the tickets in his name. He would Venmo his share. George found out last month his coworker has now tragically passed away from cancer. This took a turn. George had no idea that the guy that he'd bought the tickets with was even sick. The coworker didn't share it with anyone. He left behind a grieving wife. The dilemma is, can George reach out about the tickets? Well, the first answer right away here is no. So let's keep going to the email. My initial reaction was just to go to the Orlando Magic, call, explain the situation, but George has no paper trail, nothing with his name on it. He would just Venmo the coworker the money. After he explained that to me, I think George is out the 2000. No way to confront a widow about some NBA season tickets. I think you're answering your own question here, man. George countered with, what if he reached out to the widow? This guy really likes the Magic.
Is this George Costanza? Who is this? It sounds like a George Costanza.
It does sound like a George Costanza, yeah. But if he's 31, Seinfeld, I don't know. I mean, you guys are younger, so maybe you watch the reruns, but yeah, it does. Look, every now and then some of these will like I came across another one the other day that was like a Melrose Place plot, and I just figured it out. It was like, all right, even though it was a great email, I'm like, I'm not doing this. George countered with, what if he reaches out to the widow, offers his condolences, and to pay for her late husband's share of the tickets? That way she doesn't have to worry about selling them individually or getting a refund. I think you should just let this one go. Thoughts? Your instincts are right on this one. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you reach out. I mean, look, is there a small, if we want to just look at every angle of this, is there a small percentage that if you reached out? I love that George was like, first I'll say I'm sorry, then I'll follow with, so about those Magic tickets. Chances are, let's go this way first. The bigger percentage play, she's going to think your friend is a horrible human being. Losing $2,000 sucks. It sucks. Sometimes you just got to lose the $2,000 though. I wouldn't want to do it, but I also would like to think I have a decent enough of a heart and instincts to be like, you know, even whatever. I mean, losing $2,000. Some of you guys are probably listening to this being like, dude, I'm not just going to eat the $2,000. I think you kind of have to eat the $2,000. Now, to the small percentage thing that I was just mentioning a minute ago, I mean, could there be some weird win in this where you give this some time, or you offer up your condolences, then don't say anything about the tickets, and then give it a few more months and then say, hey, look, I didn't want to bring this up at the time, and I don't know what you know about the season ticket thing, but if it's a burden to you and you have to like sell those tickets because you've already bought them through the team, you know, is there any way that I can help? And then, I don't know. I mean, but then it's like, you can't be asking her for, like, what if she says no, or she doesn't know anything about it? And then it's like, well, hey, by the way, he owed me $2,000 because I paid for the tickets. I mean, that's really, really tough to pull off. I mean, you could try to explain it to the Orlando Magic, but I just don't know that any institution at that level is going to go like, hey, we'll take your word for it without any evidence whatsoever that you're connected to this other guy's season tickets. So this does not sound like an easy one. I would lean towards probably not saying anything. And the Magic aren't really that good. So
That's a good point.
yeah, maybe you saved, was it only $2,000 for the season tickets? Did you have to kick in more a little bit later? So you could look at it that way. I lost 2, but I saved 4. So you just made $2,000.
Do you think Venmo could help out? Probably not, right?
No.
You can't like stop payment on a check like you can on a Venmo thing.
I don't think so. But remember when I did my app rant about how these tech companies invent stuff that can never help you when something goes wrong? Have you ever dealt with Venmo customer service?
No.
Actually, I Venmoed the wrong person like $200 once.
Whoa! So what happens, Rudy?
So I reached out to the person who I sent the wrong money to, and they didn't get back to me, obviously.
Yeah.
So then I hit up Venmo, and they were actually kind of, to give them credit, they were actually kind of cool about it and refunded my $200 a couple weeks.
Hey,
later.
look at that!
Interesting.
Venmo
Worked out.
Yeah.
Pretty stupid move by me, but yeah, worked out.
So were you concise? Or I guess there wasn't that much to like tell. This would be a little bit more of a complicated story to tell, like, other than
there was
Venmoed
also
the wrong person.
They clearly knew. Like, I reached out to them right after I did it. Like, there seems. How do they know that this $2,000 was for Magic tickets? Like, what would they know it's for? You know, they don't know exactly what.
Maybe
it's
he
for,
wrote
so
Magic tickets in the memo. Who knows?
But even so, it's just, I don't know. It's tough. I don't know if it's the same sort of.
If he's been doing it for years, maybe there's like a year to the date on the last 4 $2,000, and he's like, "Listen, the guy isn't alive anymore. Like, can we do anything about this? I mean, maybe not, but I mean, it's probably a lot easier than talking to a widow. That's all I'm saying."
Yeah, I have no problem with the emailer's friend who's actually not named George starting with the Magic. I mean, I don't know, but this is just. I don't see. I mean, the fact that we're talking this through is actually making me feel guilty. So I'm not going to keep going with this one. The question I have for you guys, though, is that people Venmo money to the wrong people all the time, right? And is it pretty much just understood that if you're on the other side of it, like people are just telling everybody to go fuck themselves and not Venmoing the money back? I seem to hear that all the time.
It only happened to me once, and it was
and
a
what
big
the guy
amount of
said?
money. Shocker. Nothing. They didn't respond. That's why I had to reach out to Venmo. But
And it was an
I don't know.
active account of this other person, or that they didn't ever.
it was like one letter off. I sent it. It was stupid. And I think I gave it a couple days. They didn't respond, and Venmo was like, "Sure, we'll just." I don't know. See, here's what I don't know though. I don't know if Venmo took the money from their account or Venmo just paid me $200 because they have some sort of like insurance thing. I don't know.
Kyle, you get Venmo'd $500 by the wrong guy. What do you do? That's your answer. That's fine. You don't have to say anything else. That's enough. That was enough. Okay. Let's see. We got one more. Let's do a wedding one. Guys have a hard time with wedding. I mean, you could start an entire wedding help podcast. I will not host it, but there's a lot of people out there that need. And honestly, I always think the wedding shit is really simple here. But all right, anyone who writes in, big fan. Okay, we got a potentially awkward wedding moment. Love your thoughts on. A guy I work with is getting married in October. He's someone I'm fairly close with. He's getting married in another state, though. And so I'm only going to know 4 or 5 people invited. All right, so just right out of the jump here, there are already like little mental roadblocks that you've put up. You put up 2. It's like, yeah, it's in another state. A lot of weddings are in other states, man. They've been doing it for a long time. And then he follows immediately with like, I'm going to know 4 or 5 people. I can already tell you don't want to go to this. All right, no biggie. Here's the catch. One of the people is someone who was pissed at me that's going to be at the wedding. Me, the person who's wait a minute. Me, the person whose wedding it is, and her actually worked on a team together. Oh, okay. So it's you, the person getting married, and then this female. You all work together on a team together, and I had to let her go 9 months ago, and we basically haven't spoken since. So you fired her, and now she's going to be at the wedding 9 months ago. She's not the most mature person. What if she's telling everybody this asshole that fired me is way too mature? I don't want to see him at the wedding. Anyway, so while nobody would take that news with a smile, she was probably less in the right space than most. When I was initially invited, she wasn't on the invite list, so I told my buddy I would go. Fast forward a couple months, still pre-official RSVP, and now she's invited. My buddy claims it'll be fine, but he's also clueless to these types of things. The way I see it, I've got a few options. Shoot the girl a text and check in on how she's feeling about things, letting her know that if it'll be weird for me to be there, I won't go. I've been told she won't ever initiate this conversation. Just make life easy for everyone and don't go. This isn't a wedding I've been waiting for years. Number 3, what I presume to be Kyle's option, full send and go without checking ahead of time.
He's right. He's fucking right.
I feel like if I knew dozens of folks going, it'd be fine, but the small circle of people I actually know makes this potentially awkward, and I'm just trying to avoid making these things weird on someone's wedding day. Kyle, let's actually go with you first, because he offered up Kyle option 3, and he didn't just name it the Kyle option. That's what you would do in this.
He's absolutely right. I will say I've never fired anyone, so
that does not surprise me.
I don't. Every once in a while, you just say stuff that hurts, so I'm going to stop there.
Wait, you're a young guy, Kyle. I don't think you'd be in charge of anything at any point. That's all.
I was the treasurer for a fraternity that I almost joined.
Wait, they were going to make you were going to make you treasurer before you brought it up?
It was an expansion group of actually it was a Latino fraternity, and it just for one reason or another it didn't work out. But I was the treasurer for the expansion group. I ended up we raised a bunch of money from throwing parties, and then I actually spent all the money on the summer that I went home, and then spent the rest of the summer getting it back. But I returned with all the money, but I never had anyone under me.
All right, back up. Kyle is so they were like, we don't care, or did they find out you weren't Latino and that's why it didn't work out?
No, I mean, they were like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I think so. Like, I think this is cooler than all the other fraternities that are currently around. And the idea of setting it up was fun. We basically got like a year of, just basically acting like a fraternity before we actually got to like go do the thing. And then I kind of dropped out before we did the thing. But for a year there, it was like, or maybe it was a semester. Seemed like it was going to happen, but the more that I was going in it, I was like, I don't know if this is for me.
But you weren't even going to get hazed. They were just going to let you in and be in charge of all their money.
I didn't like it. No, it wasn't their money. It was like the money that the expansion group was like collecting by like throwing parties and stuff.
I don't know. This is confusing to me. So the fraternity was Latino, like all of its members.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, and then they decided to throw an addition on here, like
exactly. All like a lot of my buddies were like New York Dominicans and Puerto Ricans in Potsdam, New York, and they had like ties to people at like Oswego and Penn State, where this fraternity was, and they were like been trying to bring it for a while, and they were like, we're finally doing it. And I was like, well, I like you guys, and I don't know, I just kind of ran with it, and they were like, before we do this thing, we got to go by the book through the school, but you're an expansion group this semester. So, we need you to do some community service. I guess that's part of being a fraternity. And also like, we need you to come up with some money. So
they like drafted you into this new frat.
Yeah.
You were part of the inaugural draft class. That's
came up with like $1,500, honestly.
But then you spent the money that you raised.
When you go back, sometimes you miss the first paycheck for summer, and then it's like, oh shit, I was already broke. So it's like you miss the first paycheck, and it's a 2-week cycle. So it's like a month before you get paid. What am I supposed to do? And I got $1,500 in a little bankroll. So it turns out you could spend $1,500 in a month pretty easily. So I spent the rest of the summer getting it back.
I'm just speechless. It's not because it's so unbelievable. It's just that it's another layer to you that we're learning about.
I thought that would have been cool on the resume, Latino fraternity member, almost.
The thing is, you're
treasurer.
Like the least surprising. Yeah, Rudy adds in sketchy treasurer, but a treasurer who made mistakes and figured out a way to get things right.
Yeah, I atoned.
I feel like this
is a Netflix
movie waiting to be made.
It does. I don't know. It might be a limited series. I don't know if it's a movie, but I don't know what season 2 is.
This guy's got wedding problems, though.
Yeah. All right. So back to the wedding guy. He doesn't want to go to this wedding. So I think you reward yourself with a good excuse to not go. I mean, you could reach out to her ahead of time. I mean, I would be more inclined to reach out to the person ahead of time, but it sounds like what's actually going to happen? Like, think of all the times when you go, oh man, this person's there. I'm not going to want to see this person. And then you run into each other and everybody's fake for 5 minutes and then it's over. And then it doesn't matter. That's what I would do if I thought you wanted to go to the wedding. But just a bunch of the descriptions on this deal, I think it's fairly obvious you don't even want to go. And now you have a decent enough excuse. And I think it's kind of a lame reason to not go to the wedding. And you have to think about like the guy that invited you. Does he really, really want you there? He must, you guys work together or whatever. But these things, this anxiety, this pre-anxiety about all these interactions and stuff where it's like, oh, how's this going to go? Although I may be weird because I sort of oddly get off on it. I'm like, oh, cool. This would be a little confrontation. It'd be interesting. See what happens here.
What if I add this to the equation, though? There's a good chance, he said he only knows a few people there. So there's a good chance that they're going to be at the same table, right? I mean,
good question. But
that would be a huge bummer.
You'd have to think, though, that like she's not going to be dumb enough to put them at the same table. Right. And then, yes. Okay. So now you end up at a table. Maybe you don't know anyone. That's another reason you may not want to go. Or maybe you just decide, hey, I'm going to be somebody completely different. I'm going to tell everybody I'm a bounty hunter. And we met in a Latino fraternity.
I knew that was coming up.
Right. It'd be like, how do you know the groom? Well, I don't share this with a lot of people. You just make up a whole character the entire night, play it out, try different lines, throw an accent in there. Be a huge adventure. You put you can be a chapter in your book.
I don't have experience with not wanting to go to weddings, so I really don't know how he feels. It seems like you do. So if he really doesn't want to go, I guess, would your buddy be heartbroken is the question. But I wanted to go to every wedding I've ever been invited to, and now it's been 2 that have been canceled. So, I'm ready to go. But if he's like interested in a wedding, then I guess.
I didn't go to Cerruti's wedding, and I think that's still harsh. Yeah. But the thing is, I knew how little Cerruti cared. And it was a really, really tough time for me to pull it off. And there's other people that have still kind of given me shit about it. But Cerruti knows that I took care of him, so I don't think he cares at all. So that's why I'm more okay with it. But I probably should have found a way to step up and go.
I don't care. I was stressed out at my own wedding, so I don't know.
I know you didn't care. Other people were disappointed in me, though, which is fine. I will live with the disappointment. Yeah. All right. That's life advice. Thanks to Mac Taibbi and all the guys at the Recruiting Stories. Check out his work. Coming up next week, though, we have part 2 of the Muhammad Ali podcast here. We're going to finish up with Sugar Ray. He's going to talk a little bit more about his career. Did he actually think he beat Hagler? But then come in full circle. Do fighters talk to each other about their health? And then Bob Arum, who has all sorts of Muhammad Ali stories. So part 2 of the Ali podcast. That's next week. Thanks to Cerruti. And, of course, this close to being in a Latino fraternity /treasurer, except it didn't work out, Kyle.